Yesterday, we talked about the importance of leveling up our relationship with Jesus, and we looked at 3 ways that we can do that: by growing in faith, hope, and love. In fact, that's part of our Xcamp memory verse, and it goes like this: 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. God told a guy named Paul to write that in the Bible. Paul was a guy who definitely learned how to level up his relationship with Jesus. Well, yesterday we focused on leveling up by having faith in Jesus, which is having complete trust in Him. So today we're going to focus on leveling up by having hope. Hope is a desire for certain things to happen. For example, you might hope that after dinner tonight you can play your favorite video game or watch your favorite TV show. It's on like Donkey Kong. We hope for a lot of things in this world, and sometimes they happen, but other times they don't. For example, maybe tonight you have to clean your room instead of getting to play your favorite video game. Sometimes the things we hope for let us down. But there's one kind of hope, a different kind of hope than anything else in this world that never lets us down. And that's hope in Jesus. You see, Jesus always keeps His promises, and He never lets us down. As followers of Jesus, this means believing in His promises. Remember the guy Peter we talked about yesterday? The one whom Jesus allowed to walk on the water? That is, until he took his eyes off of Jesus and began to sink. Well, you have to know that Peter's name means rock, and Jesus told Peter that on this rock he would build His church. Jesus was telling Peter that He had big plans for him to help start the church. That's pretty incredible, isn't it? But that didn't mean everything would go perfect for Peter from there on out. And that's because we're not perfect people, and we make the wrong choices at times. In fact, this very thing happened to Peter big time on the night Jesus was on trial and sentenced to die. You see, Jesus had done nothing wrong, but the Pharisees and religious leaders didn't like what Jesus was doing. They didn't believe that He was God's Son who came to save us from our sins, so they had Him put on trial, and Peter followed Him. But it was this very night when 3 different people thought they recognized Peter, and they asked him if he was one of Jesus' followers. But Peter denied it. The first woman asked, "You're not one of the man's disciples, are you?" And Peter said, "No, I am not." Then another person asked him again, "You're not one of his disciples, are you?" But Peter denied it, saying, "No, I am not." And yet another asked, "Didn't I see you out there in the olive grove with Jesus?" And again, Peter denied it. Now, Peter was probably afraid of what might happen to him if he said yes, but he lied, didn't he? He was a follower of Jesus and a very close friend of Jesus's too. So he should have been proud to say he followed Jesus, but he didn't. After Jesus died on the cross, I'm sure Peter felt terrible for saying he didn't know Jesus. But when Jesus conquered death and rose again, He appeared to the disciples several times. And that's when Peter got the chance to talk with Jesus again. You see, some of the disciples were out fishing one night, and Jesus appeared to them early in the morning. He called out to them from the shore and asked if they had caught any fish, and they hadn't. So He told them to throw their nets on the right side of the boat instead. And this time, they caught so many fish that they couldn't even bring the net back in. That's when they realized it was Jesus on that shore. So Peter jumped in the water and headed to Him. When the other disciple got to the shore, there was some breakfast waiting for them. Some fish cooking over the fire and some bread too. Well, Jesus told them to bring some of the fish they had caught. So Peter went and dragged the net in closer. Then Jesus invited him to have breakfast with Him right there on the shore. That's pretty cool, don't you think? And it gets even better. Listen to this. After breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know I love you." "Then feed my lambs," Jesus told him. Then Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," Peter said, "you know I love you. Then take care of my sheep." A third time he asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt that Jesus asked him the question a third time. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Then feed my sheep." You kids are probably wondering why Jesus asked Peter if he loved him 3 times. But do you remember how many times Peter denied knowing Jesus just a few days earlier? Yeah, it was also 3 times. Jesus was restoring Peter for all 3 times that he denied him. He was mending their relationship back to what it was. You see, kids, Jesus knows everything. So he knew that Peter denied knowing him, and he knew how Peter felt about that. But he also knew how much Peter loved him. Jesus wanted to restore Peter and give him another chance because he still had very big plans to use Peter to help start his church. That's why he kept saying, "Take care of or feed my sheep." Do you know who Jesus' sheep are? It's people who follow Jesus, like all of us. Jesus is our shepherd and our guide, just like a shepherd is to his sheep. Jesus was saying he still had plans to use Peter to help take care of his people so he could help start the church. And Peter didn't lose the hope of that promise after he denied Jesus. That's exactly why he jumped out of the boat towards Jesus when he knew it was him. You see, Peter knew he was wrong when he denied Jesus, but that didn't cause him to give up. He still had hope in the promise that Jesus could still use him. And that's the same for us too. Even when we level up with faith by completely trusting in Jesus like Peter did, we're still gonna make bad choices and do wrong things sometimes. But what we do next is the thing that matters most. We can either run from Jesus and give up, or we can run to Jesus and tell him how much we love him so that he can forgive us and make our relationship right with him again. And that's exactly what he wants us to do. He wants us to run to him every single time we do the wrong thing because he never wants us to give up hope in the promises that he has for us. After all, he's got big plans to use you, each and every one of you. So as we have faith in Jesus and learn to completely trust in his promises, we can always have hope too. And we can level up with the hope from Jesus.